Businesses in Kayole.
It's the disheartening images and reports that we serve to you, now more rampant than ever, of more innocent lives being lost in the name of breaching the curfew order. From the Kianjo Koma brothers in Embu to reports of a 38-year-old man allegedly killed by police last night after he was caught outside during curfew hours. Kenyans are angered by this, and honestly, so are we. Who is protecting the rights of the youth, and how long should we live in fear? Speak to us and share your feedback on this discussion as you answer a question of the day. Should the curfew be eased by the government, and why? Should the curfew be eased by the government, and why? Chat with us through WhatsApp and share with us your views using the number 0785-939529, 0785-939529. On this special State of the Nation discussion tonight, we'll also be talking about the season of coalitions that are now dominating the political space. I am Lincoln Ombogo. Sign language interpreters are Tracy Dorcas and Teresia Washira. You're watching Tipping Point.
The One Kenya Alliance will field a presidential candidate in next year's election.
It was a question people are asking, are you going now to form a new coalition? What we are telling our supporters is that yes, already we have a coalition called Forum for Mount Kenya Region.
Lakini baadaye tukasema Kenya ni muhimu zaidi kushinda Uhuru au Raila.
Si njia ni kutafuta a better plan. Lakini kusema tu mnataka kuungana. That's not a plan. Si namna hiyo. Hiyo ni maneno tu ya bure.
And to have this discussion this evening, we are joined by Sako Bunyasi, the Member of Parliament for Nambale constituency under the ANC party. We're also joined by Farah Maalim, a former Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly and politician. We're also joined by Gunjiri Karaoke, a political analyst. And finally, we have Gloria Oroba, a youth policy expert and politician under the UDA wing. Ladies, gentlemen, shall we? We've witnessed chaos in Kayole all day. Hashtags trending. Hashtag end the curfew. Hashtag Kayole. Hashtag enough is enough. What hashtag are you supporting, Gloria? Do you know the genesis of all this?
Yes.
The 38-year-old man was killed.
You know, I've always asked what is the science between the curfew and COVID. I mean, is there a bell or something that rings that from 4 a.m. COVID stops spreading so we can move freely? And then at 10 p.m., you know, COVID again is now, you know, rampant. So I think the High Court has actually declared this unconstitutional because it's not really justifiable that you keep us on the curfew without a plan to actually get back our lives to, you know, how it used to be, whether it is before or post-COVID, but actually what is the plan? And I think it's very sad that the greatest affected constituencies of people is actually the youth, because it is the youth in the service industry that lost their jobs. It is the youth who are actually really, literally struggling and hustling to you know, make ends meet. And most of the times it is the youth that are caught up in this police brutality. And when you see Kenyans are frustrated, it's not only the frustration that there's nothing we can do, it's more of where really are we heading? What is the plan? What is Uhuru Kenyatta actually telling us? That we are going to keep us within this constraint until when? What is the actual plan, the end game? So I would say we need to see the justifications of this curfew. I've said it from the very beginning, even when COVID was hitting us in February. 2 years ago, I actually was asking what is the science between it. I can imagine the social distancing, the masks, and the vaccine. Yes, there is some thinking around that. But then the curfew, if you ask me, the curfew, particularly now that we are 12 months going to the general election, is actually being used as a political tool.
A political tool?
Yes.
The curfew? How?
I will tell you one thing. In Kisumu, we had the public, we had a national celebration in Kisumu, where the president was there. We invited the foreign visitors coming in, and it was a big celebration. And after that, William Ruto was scheduled to go to Kisumu, was scheduled to go to Kisii and basically Nyanza, and tour and, you know, mobilize or whatever it is that he's doing. And immediately after that, they said, oh, you know what, because of the Kisumu event, COVID has really spread, and now, you know, we are going to put this place into lockdown. So, I mean, for me, I think as Kenyans, we actually need to come out and ask very critical questions, like to the president, these regulations that you're giving us, these restrictions, as much as you're guided, as much as you're being advised, can you please tell us how COVID does not spread when we are under curfew? What is the science behind that?
Gunjiri,
Yeah.
Gunjiri, you've had Gloria.
Yes.
What hashtag are you supporting? These hashtag end curfew, hashtag enough is enough, hashtag Kayole.
You see, it's a sad state of affairs as a country. The police have no legitimate power to oversee lawlessness in society. And so, first of all, the first priority of any government is to protect life and property. That is the basic component within the functions of government. It is not to subdue or subject its citizen to oppression, because that is what we've been seeing from Kianja Koma to now Kayole. We see a recurring trend, because this is not a case of first, where police officers will brand young people as criminals just because they look a certain way, just because they have done their hair in a certain way. We exist in a liberal democratic society, and everybody has a choice of whatever inclination towards a cultural values that they wish to have. The state has no specific value house that is subjected to the citizens, and which each and every Kenyan must follow. Therefore, the state must also respect the fact that anybody who is within a territory called Kenya is here either as a bona fide citizen or a legal resident of this country. Therefore, there is the set out rules and regulations, a constitution, and the rule of law. If anything, and if anybody has done any mistake, they're supposed to be subjected through a fair process. They are not supposed to be killed, unless when the circumstances demand that they also threaten the lives of Kenyans. So in this case, we are asking a lot of questions to the government. For how long shall we continue with this trend? It was there some times back when anybody who would be seen with dreadlocks, especially from where I come from in Mount Kenya, would be branded as Mungiki. That culture and trend died. It seems to be creeping back now in a different manner of the police officers. Once, for example, they have realized that they have made a blunder, they seek an alternative that will try to cover their mistakes. In this case, I think that the president, because he is the sole custodian of the interest of the people of Kenya, he is supposed to take lead, call to order. And I applaud the DPP and the officers that were stopped just the other day, those that were responsible for that. And the process should be fair, and the rule of law should be applied. We should be able to see justice, because this is a country that lives within that contract.
Thank you, Gunjiri, and thank you, Gloria. Farah Malim is joining us remotely. Now, on the question of the day, before we get to you, Farah, and many thanks for creating time. Should the curfew be eased by the government, and why? Should the curfew be eased by the government, and why? Chat with us through a WhatsApp and share with us your views using the number 0785 939529. 0785 939529. Farah, we've witnessed chaos, and Gloria and Gunjiri right here strongly asking the government questions. I hear Farah will be joining us a bit later. But the question is, are politicians careless while holding large gatherings? Gloria, do you think, we've seen UDA, we've seen former NASA, we've seen One Kenya Alliance, we've seen Raila Odinga holding huge gatherings. Do you think they're careless, and who should hold them accountable?
No, I don't think that is the question we should be asking. I think what we should be asking is, what's next? How do we get past, how do we have a life after COVID-19? you know, because gatherings will be there after COVID-19. So how do we ensure that we are actually taking precautions? And it's not about large gatherings or small gatherings or, you know, you could have
But
10
Gloria,
people.
you know how
You
COVID
could have 10
spreads.
people in an elevator. That is not a large gathering. And if they are not masking, if they are not distancing, if they are not taking the precautions, the impact is the same as having those in the gatherings who are actually, you understand? So what the discussion we should be having is about how are we going to have life after COVID-19? And literally, that is every time I see us talking about curfews, restrictions of movements, I think we are stuck. We are kind of stuck. We are not thinking outside the box in terms
Gloria,
of...
are you saying that the mass gatherings should just go on?
No, I'm saying, how are other countries actually approaching this? One, they're ensuring that they are getting each and every of their citizens vaccinated. They are ensuring that if there is an area that has actually been affected and there's, you know, a high number of COVID-19 infected persons, that is where they actually send their resources in terms of vaccination to ensure that they're actually attacking it using the vaccines.
Yes.
And then after that, we have to get into a lifestyle where we normalize social distancing, like we are social distancing here. Prior to this COVID-19, we will probably be 6, 7, or, you know, many people sitting closely. So it's about what next, because we are going to have gatherings. You know, life must go on. So what are we doing? Are we making sure that a majority of our population is vaccinated? And those are the questions when I hear our president coming up with these lazy approaches about curfews, which we know for a fact that he is using for political mileage or biasly.
But how?
How? Because we are 12 months to a general election, and the easiest way to slow down a front runner, and at this particular moment I'm talking about William Ruto, the easiest way to slow him down is to ensure that you have banned all kinds of gatherings, is to ensure that the constituency of people that he targets, which we know is the church, is actually restricted, is to ensure that when he's trying to build popularity and to go and sell whatever he's selling to the people who've never seen him in areas where he's not a stronghold, to ensure that you actually lock down those areas. So if you ask me, this is just a political tool. It's unfortunate that while it's being used as a political tool, the police force has actually gone in to take advantage of it, to actually create another industry where now you're going to, you know, make money in form of bribes, and also to harass our youth. So at the end of the day, you really have to pose the question, and to our president, because he is the only one who has the full autonomy to you know, take this country to a certain direction, to ask him, what really are you doing? What kind of governance is this?
Gujiri, do you agree with Gloria that, you know, all these restrictions imposed on us to curtail the spread of COVID-19 are politically influenced?
You see, first of all, there is a subjective political motive behind the curfew, or rather the containment measures. A case in study, I give you an example of the just concluded elections in Uganda, where President Museveni was able to use that undue advantage against Bobi Wine. Here in Kenya, because already we can see how the race is shaping, and the due days that we have are now a disadvantage to some people. In fact, they would rather now cut the feet of the horse to make sure that it slows down so that the donkey can catch up. And I think that this has now brought a new thinking with those that are not supporting William Ruto for 2022 to continue with the same card setting and to ensure that he doesn't go to the grassroots like he does. Point number two, I think that those who advise the president must have told him that after the curfew was brought into action, it has been that there has been a reduced cases of, for example, robbery at night and crime within, for example, areas like Nairobi. But there is an irony in this, because the police officers are taking a partisan role in crime, whereby we have cases of people disappearing and some others being found dead in the hands of these police officers. as the youth folk of this country, we are worried of what the future holds, because the government is the sole legitimate entity that has the monopoly of everything, including that violence. So if they are not able to manage themselves well and exercise that legitimate power in a manner in which is cognizant of the fact that they are supposed to be restrained, and also make sure that their first agenda for Kenya is to make sure that they protect the lives and property in this country. So there is two ways to this, and I think that the advisors of the president will sit down sometimes in future and question why they subjected Kenyans to some of these ridiculous contradictions. Because I ask myself, how does, for example, an impact on COVID-19 reduce when you have people interacting the whole day? And then you say that a curfew is supposed to start at 10 p.m. There is no logic on any reasoning that I can imagine behind that. So as we go into 2022, I think that politics must be, while we also continue asking Kenyans to take individual caution, it's very important for us to understand that life has to go on, and this disease might be with us for so many years to come. I like what Boris Johnson advised his people. I also like what President Biden has been doing in the United States. And if we are not decisive as a country, we shall be the sacrifice.
We shall be the sacrifice. Farah Maalim, former Deputy Speaker, thank you for creating time. Gloria Roba is here, and Karaoke Ngunjiri is here as well, and they do not understand the logic as to why we need to have a curfew at 10 p.m., restrict movement for Kenyans. And one of the things that came out clear is that, Farah, is that these curfews, these restrictions are politically influenced. Do you agree, Farah?
Can you repeat again? This.
Do you think the curfew and all these other restrictions put in place to curtail the spread of COVID-19 are politically influenced?
I'm sorry, the network's a bit. If you're asking me about this new restriction. You're asking me about
whether the COVID restrictions are politically influenced.
Yes, I don't think so. I mean, look, what you have to understand is that we are going to be faced. We already have a problem at the third world country because the number of vaccinations that have so far been successfully carried out is just, I think, probably less than 200,000 thus far. And we, as a third world country, do not have that sufficient resources to come on a serious campaign to vaccinate every Kenyan. And then there's a new what you call strain, called the Delta strain, which is very lethal and extremely dangerous. Any country that has eased any of these protocols right now has come back to see, no, this is not right. And the countries that you see right now are easing it to a large extent, like the US, parts of US and the UK, is because they've more or less covered about 60-70% of their own population with both jabs. And they probably will finish the rest of it in a very short period of time. So I think we are coping, for lack of a better word, we are coping a serious disaster in this country if we do not take the threat with the seriousness that it deserves.
We've witnessed today chaos in Kayole all day, and their hashtags trending on Twitter, hashtag end curfew now, hashtag Kayole, hashtag enough is enough, after a 38-year-old man was allegedly killed by in the hands of the police for flouting these rules. And last week we buried Kianjokoma boys who also faced the same. Farah, What's your take on this?
I think the police brutality and police extrajudicial killing is not something that's confined to COVID-19. It's a tradition and a culture that has been pretty much internalized by the state structure in this country and has been there for a very long time with us. And it's just that we cannot tolerate this anymore. I mean, the people have been disappearing without any trace, their bodies, basically turning up in all sorts of workplaces, and regardless of what was the justification. The justification has been they have connections with terrorists. They are criminals, hardcore criminals. They are doing this. There are too many excuses to legitimize that extradition. Nothing can legitimize extradition killing of Kenyans, and that itself has got to be dealt with on the basis of what it is. And I would support anybody who says that the police, the government of the day, right all the way down up to the president himself, must account for every Kenyan. And there must be a process in which all those deaths are brought to certain closure in the country here, because we can't keep on tolerating this kind of lawlessness. And this is not even in some failed states, not at that level of extrajudicial killings. Let alone a country that's really had a functioning government like Kenya.
Thank you, Farah. On a question of the day, we ask you tonight, should the curfew be eased by the government and why? Should the curfew be eased by the government and why? Chat with us through WhatsApp and share with us your views using the number 0785-939529, 0785-939529. Now, this is some of the feedback from Kenyans. Someone called Vincent from Umoja is saying this curfew should be lifted because the police are using it wrongly. How many lives should we lose and until when? And he's saying end curfew now. Someone else, Gasper from Ruaraka says, to me, in darkness or night, it's not easy to know who is not wearing a mask, and law enforcers would find it hard to control. Second, at night, robbers might use a mask and to hide their identity and take advantage. Kirogo from Keno is saying, one Kenya, I also do not know how curfew fights corona. Does it mean our corona is not wise enough to know we usually lock ourselves at 10 p.m. and come out at 4 a.m.? And another Kenyan here is saying, hashtag tipping point, I don't think curfew is helping us because, like my home county of Vihiga, even without curfew, believe me, by 9 p.m. you will not find anybody in most of those shopping centers. Keep on sending your feedback to our SMS line. We'll now take a short commercial break. The conversation continues shortly.
These have been very cordial consultative meetings deliberating on national matters. Indeed, yesterday's meeting was one such conference where a new COVID surge and containment measures were the subject of the extensive discussion. No one asked or even suggested that we support anyone for.
So, One Kenya Alliance and, of course, ODM party leader Raila Odinga, who is not yet a member of One Kenya Alliance, they're trying to lure him. I don't know how they're going to survive without Raila Odinga. Maybe you'll be telling us that, Gloria and Gunjiri. One Kenya Alliance has twice been invited by President Kenyatta to Mombasa. Musalia Mudavadi has now, the second time, said that it's not succession politics. Do you buy this?
But anything that is happening now, going on to 2022, is succession politics. And if they were discussing about the COVID measures, the best they could come up with is a curfew. You know? I mean, really, if they came together and they were saying they were talking about COVID measures and how the country will proceed post-COVID, really the best they could come up with was the curfew.
What do you read from this, Gloria?
You know, I think there's a lot of idleness. These people are idle. And I feel like there's, you know how when you go to a competition and you arrive, let's say, 5 hours too early, and then you think to yourself, I can't even start rehearsing now, whether it is a running competition, a singing competition, 5 hours too early, and you know, you have no plan. Really, you just wanted to come and get into the competition, but now you're 5 hours too early. So you hang around. You hang around the lobby, you hang around, you know, you start looking who has come, who are other competitors. That's what's happening. These people are idle because the only alliance that they need, all these principles of One Kenya Alliance, the former KANU boys, the only alliance they need is an alliance with the voters. And if they are serious about actually bringing something to the table in form of an alliance, whatever alliance, why are they not mobilizing their troops? Why are not, how come hawako kwa grassroots? Mbona hawaendi kwa ground, you know? You see pictures of Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo and Wetangula. Some of them, they look like they've overeaten, they are sleeping. And you ask yourself, really, this is the best that you people can do because we have restrictions. But remember, the gatherings have been restricted. I think, is it to 100 or 50? Can you at least meet a group of youth who are now suffering, who are actually wondering, you know, where are we going come 2022? Try and understand them. Try and formulate some sort of common interest. Come up with a manifesto, even if it's just for yourself as Musalia Mudavadi or as Kalonzo Musyoka. Can you just be busy trying to form an alliance with the electorate? Because at the end of the day, you can't be sitting around because you're a Kalonzo, you're a Mudavadi, you are a who, and then you think that your name, you know, it's like, you know, I normally meet former contenders, someone who's run in the past election, and they tell you, mimi nilikuwa number 2. Yani huyo mtu alishinda mwenye alikuwa member of parliament, alinishinda na 200 votes. Sasa mimi, I know I have 3,500 votes sitting there. According to that person, since the last election, the 3,500 votes that he got in the last election, in that person's head, those votes are in their pockets. So they are just sitting. They are eating lunch because then they have 3,200 votes. That is what I'm seeing with this principle. And it's not practical. It is actually not a reality. If you think in 2017, you got 1 point something million, you got 300,000 votes, whatever, those are not, you don't have those votes now. So you should be busy speaking to the electorate. You should be busy going to the ground, to the grassroots, trying to figure out now, post-pandemic, you know, what kind of campaign can we run? Instead of sitting around in restaurants, waiting to be called to State House to go and say, yeah, you know what, tunaongelesha Raila arudi so that now we can be NASA 2.0. It's idleness.
Gunjiri, before I even come to you, let's engage Farah. Farah Maalim, One Kenya Alliance and Raila Odinga have twice been invited by President Kenyatta to Mombasa. Now, Musalia Mudavadi on 2 occasions has ruled out succession discussions in their meeting with the president. Now, Gloria says no plan, they're idle, coalition and alliances, they're not moving the crowds. What's your take, Farah? What's your take? Okay. Our side, but Gunjiri, let's go with you. Gloria is saying idleness, no plan. They're not engaging the voters. They're busy sitting in restaurants, alliances and coalitions. Have you dismissed that, Gloria? That the president did?
I think
Kajiri.
that this time round, the scramble for and petitioning of Kenya is happening in State House.
Scramble and petition for Kenya.
Yes. And
What do you mean by that?
I think that the vested interest, the ones that we are seeing on that screen, have decided to share the Kenyan country.
Are you saying you're being
ahead of time.
colonized, Gunjiri?
No, I'm saying because this is power game and people meet and discuss issues. So I want to contrast this by saying, first of all, this scramble for and petitioning of Kenya is happening at a time when the country is in a deep crisis. The economy is not doing well, and the people at the grassroots are now crying out to the government for them to be emancipated from the problems that have been brought by COVID-19. Yet nobody seems to care. It is 2022 and 2022 only. I want to say this. In this case, let us ask ourselves several questions. Who is convening this meeting? Is the boss himself the president?
Yes.
So when the president calls Raila Odinga and the others, this essentially means that he's trying to bring them together for a coalition, for them to work together ahead of 2022. And maybe he's also trying to legitimize them, because he cannot legitimize them in areas where he did not get legitimacy. For example, in areas that did not get votes in 2017, he has no political capital. So in this case, the only place that the president would perhaps be trying to give confidence to these guys is in central Kenya. However, I want to disappoint the president, because already ground in central Kenya has shifted, and already
Shifted to where?
the political capital of the president as an outgoing head of state has been inherited
By who?
by the deputy president, William Ruto. So that tells you the president literally has no political capital to transfer to anybody of those principles. I think that what he can do at the moment is to bring them together, share with them ideas on how to win an election and all those kind of stuff. Number 3, to win an election in any democratic state, you have to either rely on existing traditional political institutions, either a church, you come up with an ideology like where I subscribe the Hustler Nation, which cuts across the whole country, and then you can also apply the complexity of tribe. Now, in this case, the Oka Alliance leaders are very weak. They don't have a grassroots organizational infrastructure, which would be important for them to reach out to the last man in the last village and make sure that they convert their latent fame into popular political support. In fact, it is rumored that some of them were being given money. So if someone is not even able to manage themselves, then how are they going to manage a very huge campaigning for the Republic? The next person is Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga has run for 5 times. He has told his supporters that he has won elections, but unfortunately, he has not captured power and gotten to State House. So what does this do? Politically, this depletes his supporters and those that have died for him for all this long. So, in this case, most of them feel that they need now to have a fresh start and perhaps join a team that seems to be winning. I want to thank the president from Switch TV today for having given us positive legitimacy when he met Raila Odinga and the others by saying that William Ruto is leading in the opinion poll that was conducted. So this confirms the fact that we've been preaching to Kenyans and telling them that already things are like this, and some of them have been doubting and saying, no, this is a passing wind and all that. As I finish on this point, let me say that if you are not able to reach out beyond your tribal base and only rely on the fact that you will hire choppers and trucks 6 months to elections. I can tell you, Lincoln, I have been going around with the deputy president for the last 3 years, and I can tell you that he knows a village in Mathioya the same way he knows a village somewhere in Mavoko. If you ask some of those guys like Musalia Mudavadi, do you know some of these grassroots organizational infrastructures? They don't have any. Again, you need those infrastructures, for example, to help you on voting day. You need a priest to deliver a sermon and ask people to go and vote for you. As I finish here, I want to enlighten the OCA principles. You have already seen the president is interested in succession. He will not be interested in succession because he was quoted as saying that we must have our person there. He will not be interested in a succession where his person is not there. You have seen Peter Kenneth being fielded around Raila Odinga and moving around with Raila Odinga. So, of course, when the president is within the process, in the resection, it means that it is Raila Odinga working with somebody from Central Kenya. That could be Peter Kenneth. So what are the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, Moi, and Kalonzo Musyoka, and Wetangula doing with Raila Odinga? They are highly deluded that they can become president in that sense.
Gloria, in this era of coalitions and creating
I am
new
of a
friends.
contrary opinion, by the way, because I think that as much as the key part is having someone from the mountain in an alliance, it's not necessarily the only thing. And you see, for me, my thing is, by the time we are forming an alliance, the principles by themselves should be able to have some level of weight in terms of, you know, mobilizing some voter base. And honestly, if we were to run an election next week, these principles of One Kenya Alliance, starting from Kalonzo, going to Mudavadi, Wetangula, and Gideon Moi, it would be very difficult for them to even get 100,000 votes each. So my thing is, at the end of the day, if you are going to be a relevant player in these coalitions or alliances or any formations that are actually being fronted, you have to have some level of weight. And you know, tomorrow they are going to give the judgment for BBI. And in the very unlikely event that they actually give BBI a new lease of life, and that it comes back to the table, and it looks like the executive is actually going to be expanded, and it looks like we are going to have all those seats, the prime minister, deputy prime minister, all those seats that are there, then, you know, as a player right now, a political player, a heavyweight political player, any one of the principles in One Kenya Alliance, you still have to ask yourself, why would anyone sit and think, for a deputy prime minister, I'm going to pick Mudavadi? You still have to bring something to the table. So for me, every other time that I see these principles sitting down in restaurants and trying to talk about how they are going to form government, and trying to woo someone from Mount Kenya, and trying to showcase through their press conferences that, you know, we have a common interest and we are moving forward and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, Kenyans are watching, and even that front runner, William Ruto or Raila Odinga, is asking themselves, if today I bring Kalonzo Musyoka to my camp, how many votes is he coming with? So that's why I think between now and the next 3 to 4 months, if I was one of these principles, I would not be anywhere on TV. I would not be anywhere in restaurants having drinks and trying to organize the next government in State House. I would not even heed to the calls of Uhuru Kenyatta to State House, because you would be mobilizing your base. You know, I really, I sort of, it's appealing to see what the Limuru 3 are doing, you know, because you look at them and they had this one meeting and it was like, sawa, kila mtu, tuende ground, tutafute wenye tunatafuta, tulete wenye tunaleta. You've seen how Moses Kuria has been really on it trying to mobilize his support base, trying to ensure that he's relevant in all sorts of communities and, you know, grassroots. And you've seen that Martha Karua came, wakaongea, and, you know, she has been given a task, go and see what you can mobilize, who you can bring to the table, who has votes. People are working, you know. People are actually down in the grassroots working, while the One Kenya Alliance principles, who, by the way, I think, and I feel, and my personal opinion, are lazy because they actually just inherited these political seats. Look at a person like Musalia Mudavadi. What hassle has he ever had for him to reach where he is? Look at a person, no, I'm serious about this. When you look at this, Kalonzo Musyoka, what hassle has he ever inherited? This is a person who knows how to strategically place himself between the black and the white and be gray throughout and somehow benefit from it. What hassle have these people? Back when we were forming Jubilee, when Jubilee political party was being formed and NASA was actually being mobilized, these people were not instrumental in even trying to bring, you know, to form that coalition.
Gloria, are you trying to say that One Kenya Alliance is going nowhere without Raila
I'm
Odinga?
trying to say One Kenya Alliance has the unfortunate disadvantage that they don't have hard-working principles. I do believe that a person like Gideon Moi is, in his own right, a very shrewd businessman. In the space of business and in that industry, he's a person who can actually tell you, this is where we're going to scale up our business, blah, blah, blah. That is what he knows. As a politician, I'm not quite sure. When you look at Musalia Mudavadi, if you set him out and tell him, okay, actually, we are now going to form a huge coalition against William Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, we are giving you the task of getting 3 people who are going to give us at least 1 million votes. He can't. Unless he's meeting them somewhere in a restaurant or calling them on the phone, he cannot mobilize.
So Raila Odinga is the only chance.
So at the end of the day, the One Kenya Alliance needs Raila Odinga, or they need to disintegrate. They need to just wasambaratike, kila mtu ende pali anaenda, asimame venye anasimama. Musalia venye alikuwa anasema he's no longer going to, you know, support someone, it is his time. Let him run by his own, because at the end of the day, Lincoln, if all these principles run, if Mudavadi runs for president, Kalonzo runs, Wetangula runs, Oparanya runs, on the other side we have Raila Odinga, he runs, all these other people runs, and everyone gets their pocket of voters,
yes,
we're definitely going to go on a runoff. And at that point, then everybody who comes to the table will not be coming to the table with promises. You come to the table, how many MPs does KANU have? You know, before we engage you in any kind of conversation of now alliance or coalition. See, we've already done the National Assembly, we've already done the Senate, whatever. Now we're just doing the runoff for the president. How many MPs do you have? You don't have 1 MP. You want to come for an alliance?
Gloria, we have less than 5 minutes. My director tells me we have less than 5 minutes.
I think because she has mentioned the issue of Mount Kenya, I think that there are certain people with a self-inflicted state of self-righteousness. They think that because they are ideologically pure, they will seek to determine how the mountain will vote in the next election. Some of them have disembarked from arguing within the Hustler Nation, and now they are saying that we are coming out. We've been there before, and the people of the mountain are not foolish. We need a national party that at least accommodates each and every Kenyan. We need a leadership that accommodates each and every Kenyan. We've been there. In Kikuyu, we were told Adwaito. We've been called that for a very long time. And as the young sprouting crop of leaders, the vibrant ones, we are speaking to our people and we are telling them that we must resist any efforts to, any time during elections, the state of the nationalism within the tribal card comes in, and then it swallows every other opportunity that we need to have. Of course, politics is a negotiated process, and that the people will always have their interests within any government that is coming in. That can be anchored through the infrastructure of the state that is being constructed, and also through public policy. So if we don't get ourselves into that, all this other political gimmicking and a lot of empty rhetoric will not help our people. So the people of Mount Kenya region should know that there is no confusion whatsoever, because others are talking of a tribal political party. The decisive vote of 2022 is already decided, and
It's
people
already
are
decided by
moving
who?
forward, and people are moving forward, and there shall be no state of agony within any corner in Mount Kenya region. The people will decide, and they will show you some of the statistics that you are hearing. I want people to be very careful on the next coming days, because we already know now who is most likely to be the opponent.
Now,
so if
Gujiri, you have less than 2 minutes. I want to give you each a minute to give your final thoughts. Now, my last question to you guys is, you seem to have bought into William Ruto's, Deputy President William Ruto's ideology. Gloria, does William Ruto stand a chance without a coalition against a coalition like Oka?
First of all, that is not his ideology. That was an ideology that was actually fronted by the youth of this country who want economic empowerment. So the Hustler Nation movement is an ideology by the Kenyan youth that the Deputy President adopted, seeing as it was aligning to what he wants to offer this country. I have bought into it because I'm in that space. To be honest, if you are not talking about economically empowering the youth, women, or any Kenyan in this country, we cannot have a conversation. So I truly believe that the conversation that we should have at this moment is tutafanya aje watu wetu waomoke. My final remarks, I want to call upon our Minister of Youth, Joe Musheru, and his PS, Charles Sunkuli, and the CAS, Nadia Ahmed. You have been appointed to actually sit there and look into the issues of youth, the youth agenda. Our youth are suffering under police brutality, under all these unnecessary restrictions, yet you are going around cutting ribbons and doing ceremonial work. What are you doing for the youth at this moment? And as the Ministry of Youth, we are calling on to them to actually give us a way forward so that they can take care of us during this time.
Your 1 minute is up.
Yes.
Yes, so
Gloria has not even answered my question.
I did answer though.
So
Does Deputy President William Ruto stand a chance without an alliance against an alliance?
you see, and this is fact, let me say it very fast. The Deputy President is one of the most strategically minded politicians that I know, because he was able over time to build what I called an organizational infrastructure, the grassroots. He became so powerful such that even if you come from that tribe where you're saying that our people need to sit in a certain corner and bargain with him, the people will tell you no. So in this case, he has gone beyond that level of you blackmailing him that you
Into
want
a
to
coalition.
bargain in a coalition or such. Let me end by saying that the paradigm shift in the bottom-up economic model will deliver the most amiable, strategic, and successful national construction that we've ever had. Let me end by quoting Aristophanes the Frog and say that as a country, if we rise, let us rise together in honor. If we fall, let it be so.
That's the problem of having a show with philosophers. The Mbale Member of Parliament, Saku Bunyasi, was invited and had confirmed presence of the show, but he unfortunately could not make it. We convey our apology to that, and of Farah Malim, who was not able to end the show with us, and our disclaimer: the views described on this show are strictly individual views and not portray the views of Switch TV Kenya. This has been Taping Point. I'm Lincoln Obogo, and it was sign language interpreters today were Tracy Dorcas and Telesia Washira. The conversation continues next Thursday. Many thanks for watching. Good evening.